Welcome to Brockway, Pennsylvania. Located in Jefferson County in northwest Pennsylvania, Brockway is nestled in a valley that dates from prehistoric times. Brockway is home to a thriving community that values education and the arts, cares for its streams and forests, and celebrates often while building a bright future together. Join us as local residents show and tell everything that makes their community a great hometown. Your friends and neighbors welcome you to Our Town Brockway. Support for Our Town Brockway comes from Advanced Disposal, providing waste disposal and recycling solutions for residential, municipal, commercial, and industrial clients, and proud to be a valued employer and partner of the greater Brockway community for more than 100 years. Area Transportation Authority, providing safe, reliable public transit to riders across 6 counties, serving senior citizens, commuters, and the disabled, and stimulating business throughout our region. ATA, rural transportation for our town Brockway and beyond. Owens, Illinois, providing quality glass containers to consumers worldwide, from its manufacturing facilities in Brockway, Pennsylvania. Owens, Illinois, glass is life. And viewers like you, thank you.
My name is Jake Rindosh. I'd like to tell you about the drone video that we took. On Facebook, I saw where the drone guys were taking videos from the sky, and I thought, well, that would be nice if people could see Brockway from the sky. It would add another dimension to seeing Brockway. It's surprising, like the high school. There's so many buildings, so much grass there, and I never thought it was that big till I was able to look down and see it all. Downtown, it is nice to see how it's all nice and clean. Main Street's nice and long, and it's amazing how everything is square and straight. I like to see Toby Creek. You know, we wanted to wait till the leaves turned color, you know, but we didn't, so it started raining, and so the creek went up. Well, so now we get to see Toby Creek being real high like that. Toby Creek has a flood control project, and with the water being up that high, that proved that it works. And it's something that people have worked on for many years. When the creek is up high, it looks like a nice river. Taylor Memorial Park is a big complex. Right in the middle of it, we have Taylor Museum. We would have a Berechetti football field, and everybody loves that place. Along with it, we have 3 ball fields we have all together, the playground, and we have the swimming pool. It was well used this year. Everyone loves the park, especially on 4th of July. We would have our celebration, and it centers around the park here. We have a OI Brockway golf course. We were up there, and it's only 9 holes, and it sits behind the glass factory. When you see the glass plants, with the drone you can get way up high and look down. The first thing that amazes me is how big they are. And they're both in operation, and they do a lot for our economy. And I worked there myself, and that was a nice place to work. Brockway clay plant. They closed it maybe 30, 40 years ago. You can see like it just ruins, just a few little pieces left. Everything has grown up and just about covered everything. There's a lot of things that you can notice from the sky that you never noticed before. I always liked Brockway, and being able to see it from the sky, that I'm happy Brockway looks good even from the sky.
My name is Jason Miller, and my story is about the Girl Scouts Western PA, Camp Curry Creek. In 1947, the Girl Scouts began to use the camp as a place to do camping. In 1948, the George Curry family from Brockway donated the camp to the Girl Scouts. The original camp was a farm at one time. When the girls started to do camping at the Girl Scout camp, it was actually just a parking lot. And so it was built up from there. We have a beautiful facility. We have an awesome 63-acre place. We have camping. We have archery, canoeing, we have an indoor air rifle range, we have an awesome swimming pool that the girls obviously really enjoy. We have a beautiful environmental center that the girls take opportunities to learn different environmental issues that we have in our local area and also throughout the world. The line that we have traveled has changed, of course, with times. Interests of the kids are different now today than they may have been long ago, but there's still the basic fabrics that Girl Scouts offer that'll stay on forever. And that's what we try and teach, those basic things, and that's what's important. Confidence in one another, giving back, using your resources wisely is always important. Forming relationships with one another, forming relationships with their leaders, that's important to the girls and also the leaders. So we have something to gauge ourselves as we move forward in this world. And also the leaders get to enjoy their kids in a different atmosphere than they normally would. I'm the camp ranger at the property. I maintain and take care of the property for the girls of Girl Scouts Western PA. I also live at the property with my family, so the commute's very short. I really enjoy my job. My favorite part is making a difference in the kids' lives. I love the environmental side of it, nature walks, hikes, and I also enjoy, obviously, the folks that come in. I've always worked with kids throughout my life. I'm giving back something somebody else has given me, so looking forward to many more years of contributing to the Girl Scout movement.
My name is William J. Sabatos. I'm president of the Toby Creek Watershed Association, and I want to talk to you about Blue Valley Acid Mine Drainage Fish Culture Station. 49 years ago, the Toby Creek Watershed Association was formed to clean up Toby Creek and the Clarion River. Toby Creek and the Clarion River were both dead. Toby Creek was red all 28 miles from the source to the Clarion River was completely dead. We've determined 112 sources of pollution on the watersheds. We had to identify each source of pollution and how much loading or pollutant was going into the river systems. Back then there was really no, even if after identifying, we didn't have the technology to try to fix anything. Things came together, and I think our group was part of the technology to get it going. The system is a chemical feed system that is used to treat acid mine drainage, drop the iron, which is the red material that got into the streams and killed and snuffed out all the aquatic life. Clean water is so important. It's the lifeblood for all of us. Without clean water, there's nothing. Lo and behold, the community got behind this. As the waters got clean, people started to understand that people spend lots and lots of money to go fishing, boating, and camping. People bought gasoline, they stayed at hotels, restaurants, and it really became popular to clean up the water systems. Now the Clarion River is a wild and scenic river, and millions of dollars of economic development are in the area each year. At this particular system, we were cleaning up the water, and I thought, why don't we see if we could raise some fish at the end of it? We raised 15,000 trout now, and the pond that was going into the river system, I thought, well, why don't we stock it for the families of the area? So we stocked it, and it's become one of the most popular fishing spots in Elk and Jefferson counties now. I've stayed as the president for 49 years. I either have to be nuts or I think it's the opposite, though, that I have my heart into clean water. I was born in Brockway, and it means a lot that the people of Brockway help in any way they can to make sure that this continues. I don't know if we're a typical small town or not, but we have a lot of people that stay in the background. They don't want any credit at all, but they really seem to try to help for the betterment of Brockway.
My name is Betsy Dallaire, and I'm here to talk about the Village Voices, a local choral group here in Brockway. The group is an ever-changing group. Our membership thrives from about 30 to 45 or more on any given time. We perform a minimum of 5 concerts every year. Right now, we're working on Christmas, then we'll probably do a lighter novelty group for the Brockway Citizen of the Year banquet in January. We perform for Easter, we'll do a cantata. In July, we usually do the Vesper service in conjunction with Brockway's Ministerium. And then we go to the Jefferson County Fair and perform for Senior Day there, where we do skits and novelty numbers, and we have a great time there. And then we take a break and start all over again. I started the Village Voices because I was asked to direct a Christmas musical in 2004 entitled A 1940s Christmas Homecoming. As an offshoot of that, the Village Voices were formed, and this is our 12th year. Our ages for the Village Voices span from the 20s to the 80s, and boy do we have fun. A lot of the group read music, a lot of the group do not read music, but yet everybody learns their parts and we put it together. And it's a love of music, a love of the fine arts. We have 2 incredibly talented accompanists. They are both retired music educators, and if we didn't have them, this group would not exist. I just get to have fun and wave my hands, but it's been a great opportunity for me and for the group. Brockway supports Brockway in so many different organizations, and so many people are involved in so many of the organizations. Everybody's learned how to be flexible, and that's a word that I didn't really appreciate to the last few years. The community at large supports us very nicely. They attend a lot of our functions, and to that we owe a great debt of gratitude to Brockway. And I would like to thank the Brockway Presbyterian Church. They do provide us our rehearsal space and storage for our music, and they provide us our home to practice in, and we perform there quite frequently. Brockway is a very special town for me. This is my hometown. I grew up here. I graduated from high school here. Brockway as a community has been great to the Village Voices. It's a wonderful community. It's a close-knit community. If you need something, somebody's always there to supply whatever it is you need.
My name's Rob Keith. My story is going to be about the history of Brockway and the Clarion Little Toby Rail Trail. Little Toby Valley was settled late 1700s, early 1800s. We had some settlers that were in the lower part of the valley, which is below Brockway, come in around 1798. Further up the valley, there were settlers that came in post-War of 1812. One of the settlers that came around 1818 was Jonathan Nichols, Jr. He was one of the first educated people came into the valley, both in not only medicine, but also when it comes to religion. Several other families came, including the Brockways themselves. Chauncey Brockway Sr. came down with his wife. Chauncey Brockway Sr. was the first Brockway into the valley. Chauncey Brockway stopped and settled at a place called Keystone, which is along 219 up north of here. His brothers in 1822 would move further down the valley and actually end up building cabins in what is now Brockway. Some of Chauncey Brockway Sr.'s sons started to lumbering with a few of the other settlers that were coming into the valley at the time. Philetus Clark built the first sawmill in the Toby Valley at Brockport in 1821. Philetus Clark's son was Asaph Milton Clark. He ended up building a grist mill and a sawmill. But in addition to building those, he also purchased lots all over the valley, in this area within the borough, and turned them into streets and lots for others to purchase. And that was truly the birth of Brockway. At that time, they called it Brockwaysville. And he was fortunate enough to see the first railroad built into town. It was the Rochester and Pittsburgh Railroad. For the segment of railroad they were working on, they drove the Golden Spike right here in Brockwayville on February 21st of 1883. And that gave a huge jump start to the coal mining industry, which became very, very large in this area. We had 5 different railroads coming into town, into this area, trying to get the good coal for steaming the locomotives. By the mid to late 20th century, we saw some of the railroads declining. The railroad that eventually turned into the Clarion Little Toby Rail Trail was the Ridgeway and Clearfield Railroad, which was a branch of the Pennsylvania Railroad. Mid-1970s, it was completely abandoned. And fortunately, about 20 years later, there's a group that started to purchase the right-of-way. As you move along the rail trail north, you run into a few ghost towns along the trail. There's a sawmill that was along Baghdad Run, built by Reynolds Buzzard. His partner was William G. McCain, and they ran that mill from maybe 1886 through 1899. And they ended up building mansions across from each other on Main Street. One of the best examples we have in the area of a ghost town, a lumber boom ghost town, is the town of Carrier. Peter Glusha started the sawmill in the 1840s. His partner sold it after he passed away in 1878 to Nicholas M. Brockway, son of Chauncey Brockway Sr. He ran the sawmill all the way up until 1890, when it was purchased by Cassius M. Carrier. And he turned the town into kind of this logging boom town. Built a very extensive system of logging railroads. The sawmill was upgraded, the most modern machinery, and a lot of the remains of the sawmill can still be found. You see the machinery mounts for the machines. You can find the boiler stack. The mill dam across the creek is still there. I mean, there's a whole bunch of artifacts left in Carrier. The last stop I'd like to talk about on the rail trail is Croyland. The lumber company that built the mill at Vineyard moved that machinery from Vineyard in 1895 to Croyland, and they lumbered all the valleys right along there at Bellmouth Run and Laurel Run and a few of the other ones. The mill itself wasn't there for very long, and they ran out of timberlands. After that, in 1917, a munitions plant was built, and it was built to develop a chemical that they were going to use for World War I. Fortunately, the Treaty of Versailles had been signed, so it never went into production. And then in 1933, the Civilian Conservation Corps built a camp right there at Croyland. It's one of the best preserved civilian conservation camp sites in Pennsylvania. I have been able to find every foundation for every building that shows up on any map that I've found. I grew up in Brockway, was born here, raised here, went to school not that far from here, and my grandfather would take us fishing, and I wasn't very good at fishing, so I would wander off a little bit with my brothers, and we would, find things along the Toby Valley or along the Clarion River Valley. Curiosity brought me to the museum. There was a gentleman here named Adam Sabatos. He would do articles on the history of lumbering. That got passed to me when Adam passed away. For me, it's the fact that you can still find the history. It's still in the woods. You just have to go out there and look for it.
My name is George Miller, and my story is about the early people who came here to Brockway. The Paleo people were the first people who came here to North America. A lot of people do not realize that these early Paleo people were here, but we have proof of it. We have evidence of 3 points that were taken on a farm here that are pre-10,000 years old. There's a large rock shelter down here north of Brockway on what we call Big Vineyard. That rock shelter, we call it Split Rock Shelter. My dad and I found that, and we found Indian artifacts, pottery, arrowheads. Carnegie Museum came in and excavated that shelter, and they took 72 arrowheads plus bone artifacts, pottery artifacts. These people lived there during the hunting period of time. 4 generations, myself, my son Bruce Miller, his son Jason, now Emma Miller. We walk the fields and find these artifacts here. The atlatl was used here in the United States 10,000 years ago. The bow and arrow was only invented 2,000 years ago. For 8,000 years, these early hunters and paleo people were using this tool called the atlatl. This is a tool they used to acquire all their food. It's a prehistoric tool, but now it's gaining momentum here in the United States as a sport. There are colleges out west who have ladle teams. Hunter George Miller is my grandson. Hunter was the only child that ever qualified in the World Ladle Association at 3 years of age. And we go around in New York State, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, and other places to compete in the World Ladle Association. I was born on a sheep farm in Washington County, but I always came here as a deer hunter. Finished my college on a Friday, started a teacher on a Monday. I taught here 36 years. Brockway is the conglomeration of a lot of assets. The churches, school, recreation. You're out in the nature. You're kind of the entrance to the wilderness or the wild area of Pennsylvania. So I think the people and all the things that they belong to make this community so great.
My name's Savannah Buttery, and my story's about the community garden that we have down by the Presbyterian Church. The organization that sponsors the garden is Challenge for Change. We wanted to do some type of gardening thing. It took us a while though to get to the community garden. Instead of a garden where people pretty much just come and pick the produce, but we would educate people on how to live a healthier lifestyle and how to use vegetables and that. We thought a community garden would really help because we could give some of it to the pantry to help with the meals and that are given out, and give some to churches that also hand out meals to people. We have about 10 Girl Scouts that work on it, and we have a few adults that help us. In the garden we have tomatoes, cucumbers, peas, beans, zucchinis, yellow squash. We have peppers and cabbage and lettuce, and we have some herbs growing too, and we also have celery. Peppers are my favorite because, one, they're easy to pick, and I also really like how peppers taste in that. My family, we have cousins that have a farm, and sometimes we would go down there and pick, and we also have a garden up at my house that we pick from, so I knew a lot about gardening, but a lot of the other girls didn't really know as much. The Mother Earth News Fair did help. It's held near Somerset, I believe, in Seven Springs. We went down Saturday for pretty much the entire day. I went to a bunch of classes and got to talk to some of the vendors that were there. A lot of people think it's really good that we're doing it, and they really like the idea of it. We actually went to the farmer's market for the garden, and we sold some of the produce there because we had too much. Some people would come up to us and they'd say what a great job we're doing and that they really like it. When we go to the farmer's market, we make money by selling the produce, and that money goes to supplies and other things we need for our cooking and canning classes. We get to show people how to can food so they have it for over the winter and so they can live a healthier life. I really like the project. It's really fun to sort of see the vegetables grow and that, and to see that we're helping other people. So I really like the idea of the garden and everything.
I'm Jeremy Hopner, and I work for Brockway Glass, and I'm doing my story on OI for Brockway. Brockway Glass has been around for a long time. Back in the 1980s, Brockway Glass had merged with Owens, Illinois. Owens Brockway is a very large employer of the Brockway area. 500 employees between both plants. Basically manufacture glass containers and ship to our customers. It provides a very generous income for an area that's economically very easy to live. The raw materials are brought in, broken down. You go back to the hot end. That's where the forming of the bottles is taking place. They come to the cold end. They're inspected and packed up and shipped out to our customer. I'm a Lear quality controller. I inspect the ware. I also work in the quality lab. test room, checking the capacities of the bottles, and basically protecting quality for our customer. I've pretty much lived in Brockway all my life. Besides the 5 years I went away in the military, I come back to home and pretty much enjoy living here because it's peaceful, surrounded by beautiful nature. There's not too many people, not too much traffic. A lot of breathing room here.
Hi, my name's Jill Martin Rend, and my story is on Butler County Community College, the BC3 at Brockway location. BC3 stands for Butler County Community College. We currently have our main campus in Butler, and then we have 5 off-campus locations. We opened here in Brockway in August of 2013. We are in the old Owens, Illinois administrative offices. We are the only community college north of Interstate 80. We have 6 programs here in Brockway. We have business management, general studies, psychology, early childhood education, social work, and then we have the 1-year pre-nursing program that students can do. We offer lifelong learning classes also. We offer credit and non-credit offerings at our location. And we actually right now have yoga as a credit class. They can take it as one of their phys ed requirements, or we do yoga in the evenings for our lifelong learning classes. We've done yoga, Zumba, knitting, crocheting, essential oils. We've done many things with the lifelong learning. In our building, in our 14,000 square feet that we have, downstairs is mainly our administrative offices, and we have a multi-purpose room that we use for credit classes or lifelong learning, or we use it for nonprofits can come in and use that part of our building. And then upstairs we have 4 classrooms, and then we have our science lab. The science lab is the octagonal part of our building, and it's kind of a state-of-the-art science lab. Also, we have upstairs a computer lab. Our computers are hidden in our desks. So you just push on them and they pop out, and whenever you're done, you can push them down in. So we can use it as our computer lab. Our teachers can use it for instructional. They can use it just for desks. We provide open admissions, which means we don't require SATs. So we accept every student that comes to us. Students that maybe don't want to travel, they want to have the convenience of being close to home, having affordable education. It gets them a really good start. Our credits transfer to all the state schools. We work with Pitt, Penn State, Teal. So it gives them that chance to build a good solid foundation, or if they just get their 2-year degree with us. Brockway is like a lot of the towns in our area. We're a rural location, very close-knit, family-oriented, quiet, safe community. The building that we're in is kind of a hub for our entire community. It provides a place for people to come and do various activities, and it's nice to see something in a small town completely being utilized.
My name is Brian Lemon, and I'm here for Troop 40, Brockway Boy Scout Troop. This troop right now is considered the longest running troop in the Bucktail Council. It was chartered November 1st, 1921. We've been in existence ever since. 6 years ago, I had a nephew that I was raising. He decided to join the troop. And I started setting in on the meetings, and the scoutmaster at that time asked me if I'd like to be a leader. And I said I was never a Boy Scout, but I'd like to. So they set me up, go through training, and then 6 months later, he handed the troop over. The event I like the most is in January. They do what they call a polar bear event over at Camp Mountain Run. They do 12 different stages that pertain to scouting skills. On the 4th of July, we put up a food booth and sell food. For the last 3 years, we've sold out every year. We have a lot of fun. One of the biggest things since I took over was in February of 2014. We had 7 boys reach Eagle. We did one ceremony for all 7 of them. It lasted 5.5 hours. We had 300 people in attendance. I'm from Brockway originally. I moved away for a while, but when I come back and join this, it makes me like Brockway even more. Because I got the community really backing me. It means a lot.
My name is Eric Stwicki, and I'm here to talk about the GAP Exchange at Brockway High School. GAP is short for German-American Partnership Program. It is a nonprofit exchange program sponsored by the German Foreign Office and the U.S. Department of State. We have a partner school in Germany, Grotefen Gymnasium, and our students go over there in the summer, and German students come over to our school in Brockway in the spring. And they're here for 3 weeks, and we go over there for 3 weeks. I was actually a former GAP participant myself. I started the GAP program in 2011 as a way for my students to have the opportunity to study abroad and to travel and see a different country. The German students come here to the United States when they visit Niagara Falls, New York City, Washington, D.C., and Pittsburgh. The majority of the time is spent here in Brockway, so we plan many activities for them while they're here. Last year we planned a scavenger hunt. I paired German and American students, and they had to find a certain clue in town. The clues were in German. The host families, they work really hard to make the German students feel welcome here in Brockway, and that is the main part of the exchange. It allows our students to see that we have many similarities, many more similarities than differences with one another, and they get to bond with the host family and experience a different culture. A lot of friendships have been made throughout the 5 years the exchange has been going on. Several students from Germany have returned to Brockway a second or third time to visit their host family because they enjoyed it here so much. I have lived here for 7 years now, and I came to Brockway to teach German in 2008, and I've been here ever since. It's a nice little small town, a great place to raise a family, have kids, great school, great support from the community.
My name is Nick Hoffman, and I'm going to give you some information about the Brockway Center for Arts and Technology. BCAT was the brainchild, a collaboration. Bill Strickland, who is the CEO of the Manchester Bidwell Corporation, an education-centered company that's based in Pittsburgh. He's developed centers like the one here in Brockway throughout the country in urban areas. He had never gone into rural America. Bill Strickland and Joe Scarnati and Pete Verichetti got together with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and the three of them worked on coming up with a plan to open a center using a portion of the former Brockway Glass main office headquarters building. The people who put this together went to the employers, primarily healthcare, and said, what kind of workers, what kind of skills do you need? It offers 2 courses of study, pharmacy technician, medical assistant. 9-month course of study at no cost to the students. The value of each of those is somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000 per student for that 9 months. They come out, they pass their national accreditation tests, and almost universally they find employment. These are people who range in age from 18 and just getting into the workforce to mid to late 50s. And it goes right to the heart of what Bill Strickland's theory is about making people productive. Every person deserves a chance, and one person at a time, give them a chance to pursue their dreams and become a productive member of the community. I'm born and raised in Brockway. If I haven't lived here all my life, I've been very close. The people who came here almost 200 years ago were drawn by the lumber. Through the years, the railroads came, coal came, glass, we had clay, we've had powdered metals, we now have Marcellus shale. Brockway has always been able to adapt and embrace change. If people think they can't do it, they won't. The attitude in Brockway has been, if there's a way to do it, we'll find it, and we'll get it done. It's all about attitude, and the attitude here is just uniquely American dream, and maybe that sounds romantic, but there's 200 years of history that show that it works, and it has worked. And it's something I'm very proud of, to call it home. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
My name is Jeff Gankowski, and I will be talking about the Brockway Old-Fashioned Fourth. The 4th of July was begun back in 1967, and it's built ever since. We have a lot of different events that go on. Races, we have entertainment, children's games, fishing contests, antique car show, art show, different things of that nature, ending the day with a parade and fireworks. We have a trolley. The museum here is open. Fishing contest for the kids. We also have an art show. A lot of local people, a lot of people from outside of the area bring their creativeness to the town. Along with that, there is a quilt show, and the quilters get together and display what they've made. The parade is a pretty good sized parade. I worked on that for, I think, about 10 years. And that was very interesting, try to get chaos to an organized event, and it's fun to do that. The end of the day, we have fireworks. Individuals who do that are local, and they do a fantastic job. It's never been a disappointment. It is something I've grown up with. As a little kid, I'd go downtown with my father, go to the different events. It was fun as a child to be down there and just get to walk around. There'd be food, entertainment, the parade, and the fireworks. It's a small town. You know a lot of people know you. It's not a big city. You can walk around, you can do things. The community gets into the Fourth very much. We have a lot of support. It just brings everybody together. It has to be a family-oriented program, from little kids all the way up to adults. And to do that, right after the 4th is over, our next meeting, we'll start planning for the coming year.
My name's Jeff Festini. I'm the current fire chief of the Brockway Volunteer Hose Company. I've been a member for 28 years. The Brockway Fire Department started back in 1904. It's always been a volunteer fire department. I'm the 15th fire chief of the fire department. The first fire station was actually a barn which burnt down. They moved into the borough building / police station fire department. The station now was built in 1977. We do a lot of community events. We participate in the 4th of July in Brockway with a lot of stuff. We do fire prevention. We go to the schools, and they come to the fire department, and we do a lot of stuff for the community. We do an open house every year. The first Sunday in October, we give fire truck rides and do some demonstrations down there with vehicle extrication and things like that. The Brockway Fire Department right now has around 40 members. We're always looking for new members. We're very dedicated. We work very well together. We do a lot of training. The town of Brockway supports the fire department 100%. We have a fund drive every year. They really support us in that. I've been here my whole life. My grandfather was a member. My uncle, my father, both were involved in the fire department. Brockway is just a great place to live. I do it because I love it. I love to help the community.
My name is Jack Tully. I'm the post commander of the American Legion, Post 95 here in Brockway. And we'd like to tell you a little bit about our story from the Brockway Post. The American Legion was founded right after the First World War in 1919. We signed our charter in 1924. We have about 200 members in our post. Some of the ways that we serve the community is with trying to mentor the youth. We do school programs. We also try to mentor some of our seniors. We also do funerals to render military assistance to fallen veterans through the year. We have an honor guard. Our memorial park, we call it Veterans Memorial Park. It actually was a vacant lot at one time below our post on Pershing Avenue. And about 3 years ago, we put in a memorial wall. We call it the Circle of Remembrance. We have over 600 names on that wall, and we're very proud of it. This past summer, we dedicated the bridge over Route 28 to Connie Rita Esposito. She was the first female veteran that has a bridge named after her. She was killed during the Korean conflict. I am the post commander here in Brockway, but I'm also the 27th District Commander of the American Legion. I served in the Army. We do have several Iraq veterans, and we have a couple Afghanistan veterans that serve at our post. We tried to get them involved with our post because once they leave the military, they lose that camaraderie with the people they've served with, and that's one of the biggest things that most veterans will tell you. They miss that so much. So our post in the American Legion tries to bring that to the forefront. We're very glad to have them. The community of Brockway, they are very warm people. I can tell you that not being from Brockway, born and raised, they've always stepped up to welcome anyone to the community. They're very helpful. In my perspective, I'm a Gold Star father. I lost a son in Iraq in 2007, and they have been very, very helpful to me and to my family during that troubled time.
My name is Patricia Hamblin, and I want to tell about the 7 cemeteries of Brockway that surround Brockway and the importance that they played in people's lives and in my life. Cemeteries in the early days were located out of town, close to town, and also right along the road, usually in a wooded area. The cemetery was a place where people could gather to give aid and comfort to one another. I remember it as Memorial Day, when we went over to decorate the graves of veterans, our relatives. It was a happy time for us children because we got to get together with our other cousins and things. However, I know the parents were missing their loved ones, and I think they drew a little bit of comfort from going to the graves and taking care of graves. As I grew older, I grew to appreciate all these ancestors of mine. I wanted to learn more about them. One of the things I've noticed as I went around to these cemeteries, they're very well maintained. So people really want to honor their dead. This brings a spirituality or a coming togetherness for these people. I think it's wonderful that people are remembering where we came from and how hard some people had it, how hard some people worked to get us here today. The oldest one I actually found a Revolutionary War soldier at Hufter Cemetery on Bond Street. His name was Joel Clark. He was born in 1752 and he died in 1844. He and his wife are both buried there. Most all the other cemeteries have soldiers from World War I, World War II. Civil War, there were many at the Brockport Cemetery, at the Beechwood Cemetery. There were soldiers from the Spanish-American War. Actually, they were Navy men. They served in the Philippine Islands, Puerto Rico, Cuba, 1898 to 1902. I think the local history can bring a community together, looking back on what has happened, the bad times and the good times, letting us know that we are not the only ones to go through bad times. So that puts things a little bit in perspective. We all have hard times. We must keep going and keep a good attitude, I think, too.
My name is Susan Framer, and I'm here to speak to you about Brockway's 4th of July celebration. And actually, in 2016, we'll be celebrating our 50th annual celebration. It's a day-long event. There's something for everyone to be involved in or to do.
We have like the thrill-seeking events. We have the horse-drawn carriage rides, which kind of spins off on our old-fashioned mission. I am from Brockway, and I've always attended the Brockway celebration, and actually for the past 10 years I've been the chairman in charge of all of the entertainment for our celebration. Way back in the beginning, they may have done usually 2 bands, one for the younger crowd and one for the older crowd. Over time, that has definitely changed a lot. We bring in bands from Pittsburgh, Ohio, New York. It's something that you could go to a larger city, but even though our town is a small community, we do bring in a lot of big entertainment. I try to make a point to bring in new things each year, so it's not the same thing year after year. We focus a lot on the education and educational entertainment. We've had the Crayola experience come. We've also had people from Zoo America. A local business helped out with a Lego building competition, and that kind of got kids into thinking and building and creativity. We've had sand sculptors. We've also had 3D chalk artists, so there's been a wide array of different entertainment. It's a year-long planning for our committee, but all the faces that I see smiles on, the kids, the adults, those people might not ever see a 3D chalk artist or a sand sculptor, so bringing that here, that's what makes me happy and the reason why I do it.
My name's Kyle Norman. I'm the agriculture teacher at the high school here in Brockway. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the Brockway Farmers Market, a little bit about our greenhouse, and maybe some upcoming plans that we have in our future. This is our 6th year for the market. We do anything that is homegrown or homemade. It can be pies and jams and jellies to corn and tomatoes and anything that's fresh. We are at the school in the parking lot in the auditorium every Friday from 9 to 11:30. The students are actually the market managers. Their job is to get everybody the receipts, to collect any fees. They're in charge of helping anybody that needs help. They're in charge of cleaning up, tearing down. It's a great way for them to actually get involved with a lot of the community activities that are going around. We actually have a greenhouse and a high tunnel at the high school. Gives them a chance to get out of a typical classroom setting and gives them a chance to take the knowledge that they've learned in the classroom and apply it somewhere else. Being able to take a test and say that you know how to do something is one thing, but going out and practicing that and actually doing that task is a whole different animal. We're gonna dig some drains and put in an orchard in behind the school. And then we're gonna be able to take that produce and give some of it to the cafeteria to be able to incorporate into school lunches as a fresh alternative, and then even take some of that and sell that at our farmers market. Also on the property, there's an old barn. We're going to fix up the barn and hopefully eventually get a couple of pigs. And again, taking that knowledge from the classroom and applying it to something is very, very important to me and to my classroom. This is my 10th year in education. Found a job opening here in Brockway, fell in love with the town, fell in love with the kids, and I've stayed. It's just such a tight-knit community down here. It's just like home.
My name is Jim Grant, and I'd like to talk about the Brockway Presbyterian Church and Brockway's Citizen of the Year program. The current church was built in the mid-60s, and we have a good range of activities for the regular church program, Sunday morning service. We have the youth group and Sunday school for both adults and children. One of the things that we're doing these days is the Presbyterian Pantry. We've been doing this for several years, and we're preparing hot meals for the people who are older and have some kind of handicap that have a problem preparing meals. St. Tobias Catholic Church does a similar thing on Tuesdays of the week. We do Wednesdays, and the Moorhead Methodist Church does a meal on Thursday. Beyond that, the church is quite busy. We have a lot of activities at our church. The Brockway Nursery School meets there through the weekdays when school's in session. We have Village Voices that rehearse at our church and then put on programs at Easter time, Christmas. We have Girl Scouts that meet in our church, and also they have a big garden outside the church. The Bloodmobile meets there a couple times a year. We have some public dinners that we serve, and on election day we have an election day luncheon with soup and sandwiches and pie. It can be a busy place. The Citizen of the Year Committee was really established as an offspring of the Brockway Borough Council. The program began back in 1987. A group of people were asked to work on the committee. It's pretty much a cross-section of the community. The very first program included the Woman of the Year, Marilyn Becker, who is the church organist at our church. That was 27 years ago, and she's still, like many of them, still up and running. I look back over the list, and out of those 27 years, there are about 27 who are still active in the community and going about their daily business. I've lived in Brockway all my life. The thing that's most special to me about Brockway would be the people. Many of the citizens now that are running the various events around town are former students of mine, and it really makes me feel proud and good to see them filling the roles that older people can sit back and watch it happen.
I'm Chuck Greeneisen, and I'm talking about the Brockway Area Caymans. Brockway Area Caymans are an organization that's designed just to raise money to fund different projects throughout the Brockway area. It was a Kiwanis club. Around the late 90s, we got tired of sending most of our money to the international. So a group of guys got together and decided to change to a self-organization. And the name Caymans came up, and we became the Brockway Caymans. We contribute a lot of money to the school system, the elementary school. We do 3 scholarships for graduating seniors. We've contributed to the purchase the trees for on Main Street. We have banners on Main Street, the garbage cans, the benches, given to the sports teams. They use the money for a scoreboard. We also have the Caymans Pavilion right beside the swimming pool. Also the theater in the park, we were instrumental in giving a lot of money towards that. We've donated to the Village Voices, the area ambulance, and their training center we've donated to, as well as the firemen, the library. So we give to a lot of different organizations. I look at it as we gather the community's money together and then support the projects. I spoke to John Esposito. He's been involved since the original Kiwanis in 1965 when it started.
The combination of these clubs raised nearly $1 million. And one of the things that we're the proudest of is the fact that not one penny of that $1 million was ever used for the operation of the club. The club was operated on dues only, and all of the money that was raised through our projects was donated to various organizations within the community.
The support of the community is just, it's overwhelming. Without the community, the organization would not exist. We could not raise the amount of money we do every year. We have 4 fundraisers: chicken barbecue, raffle, auction, and a lottery event. Without the huge community support we get, there's no way we could fund anywhere near what we do fund. As soon as you ask for support, we get the support. I can't say enough about that.
I'm Evelyn Grant, and I'm here to talk about the Brockway Area Volunteer Ambulance. We started serving on the 1st of July in 1973. I am a member of the Sugar Hill Grange, and they wanted us to be involved and find out what was going to happen when the funeral directors dropped the ambulance service. So I ended up volunteering to be trained and went on from there. Our class was the first class in Pennsylvania to be trained as volunteers. I think we trained about 5 months, first starting with first aid classes, and then we went on to emergency medical technicians or EMTs classes, and we had to pass state board exams. Also, our Grange members went around. We solicited memberships to have money to start up with, so that's how I got involved. I served for 6 years, but being a farmer and with my husband being a teacher, I had to be home a lot, so I couldn't be on as much as I would like to. Mostly transports or second call. At first our garage was way north of Brockway here, and we'd take, a fast run to get there. Then they got the new building here, put on ground, donated by Brockway Glass for their new buildings. They do have more equipment now. I stop in once in a while and look things over, but it's way beyond me now. I lost my first husband in an airplane crash, and I felt that I wanted to give back something for all the hundreds of people who searched for him when he was down. So that was my reason for getting in, to give back.
My name's Paul Boboige, and I want to talk about the wonderful trails that we have in the Brockway area. Brockway's in a unique position where it has 3 trails coming into town, and that's called a hub. We have the Clarion Little Toby Trail that runs from Ridgeway. That's an 18-mile trail, and it comes right into town by the football field. Over by the Girl Scout camp, over by Arch Street, there's what we call the 5 Bridges Trail. It runs to Ellen's Mills, and someday we hope that that'll run to Brookville, and Brookville's working together with Red Bank Valley Trails, and that would run south down into Armstrong County, and there's a potential to run to Erie, to go down to Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh goes down to Washington. The other trail is the Wolf Run Trail south of Brockway on Route 219. It's 4.2 miles, and it runs to Falls Creek. The vision's never done. There's a concept in Pennsylvania Greenways where they have trail towns, and Brockway's just perfect for that. People have found that bicycling and hiking is a very great family activity, individual activity, good exercise, good to get out into nature. And there's a lot of people that travel from out of state even to go on these trails. We could tap that resource, and help the economy of Brockway. I love nature, love walking in the woods, love seeing the animals, seeing the trees, the leaves. It's just so great to get out in God's nature and see how beautiful it is in this area. My wife's from Brockway, so it's my adopted town, and it's a great town. The people were nice, the people were friendly, great place to be.
Hello, my name is Terry Mayer. I'm the race director for the Tour de Brockway, which is one of the athletic events in the Brockway 4th of July celebration. Our race has been going on for 35 years now. That's one of the longest bike races, amateur, non-sanctioned race in the United States and definitely in Pennsylvania. The last 4 years we've settled on a race course that everybody can do, and it's fun, but it's also long enough for the road category. It's 21.5 miles. We have a little bit of hills, we have rolling terrain, and we have flats, so any kind of cyclist loves to come to our event. And we're kind of unique because of the fact that our race has road bikes, mountain bikes, hybrid bikes, and we have a tandem. So we have all kinds of brackets for everybody that rides a bicycle. We have riders from all the neighboring states, Ohio, New York, New Jersey. We have riders come from Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, California, Texas. We have lots of returning, probably about 70% of our riders return each year. And of course, they bring their families along with them, so it's a great family atmosphere. All the riders seem to remark afterwards, and we've also gotten letters sent to the borough officials and everything, how safe our race is. One of the national bicycling magazines contacted me. They were doing a feature article on small-town America, 4th of July bike races. And they said Brockway was selected as one of the 7 cities across the United States that we're doing this article on. So we were greatly honored on that privilege. Brockway is special because of the fact that it is small-town America. You can actually ride a bicycle around here without getting run over by trucks and cars and everything else. And everybody works together, puts together a great show on the 4th.
I'm Christine Gasberry. I'm the Youth and Arts Coordinator at the Brockway Center for Arts and Technology, and I'm doing a story about how we aim to inspire youth through the arts at BCAT. BCAT is a center where a lot of kids from the area can actually come and work in our ceramic studio or our newly opened metal arts studio. And it's just a great outlet for kids who want to prepare for their futures and also just would like a different kind of something to do after school. We are open for the kids Monday to Friday from 2:30 in the afternoon until 5:30. If you were to come through our studios, you see kids in an atmosphere that's really unique. Basically, they are working on their own projects. When we're recruiting them at the different high schools around the area at the beginning of the school year, we say to them, guys, you're going to be working on projects and we're here to mentor you, but we're not your teachers per se, and this is for no grade. That's kind of the best part. They work side by side with renowned artists who they are residents at BCAT for usually a year, and they're from different parts of the U.S. Sometimes they're from different parts of the world, so they're very well known in their field, whether it's in metal arts or ceramics. And the kids just work very closely with them, and it's a great sort of mentor-influence relationship. Basically, it's just a different kind of education and exposure than anything else they get living in this area. But it's really sweet and it's very inspiring to see them working on something that just makes them feel good. The center came to exist. There's a family in this area. They're involved in a lot of different business endeavors in Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Center for Arts and Technology was the first of this now nationwide 12-center network. Essentially, they wanted to bring that to our area. So what's really special about BCAT is that we are the first school like this in the nation that is in a rural setting. I lived away from this area for probably, close to 20 years, and I was living in places like New York City, and I lived in Europe for a year. But recently, I decided to move back to this area because truly, there's just no place like home. There's not a community like this one anywhere where people really do look out for each other. And it is such a great place for a young person to grow up. It's just a very caring, close-knit, fostering community, and definitely in a place like New York City, you don't find anything like that. So for me, when I was really thinking about where I wanted to put down permanent roots, without a question, it was back in this area.
And that's Our Town Brockway, a look at the Jefferson County community through the eyes of its residents. Support for Our Town Brockway comes from Advanced Disposal, providing waste disposal and recycling solutions for residential, municipal, commercial, and industrial clients, and proud to be a valued employer and partner of the greater Brockway community for more than 100 years. Area Transportation Authority, providing safe, reliable public transit to riders across 6 counties, serving senior citizens, commuters, and the disabled, and stimulating business throughout our region. ATA, Rural Transportation for our town, Brockway, and beyond. Owens, Illinois, providing quality glass containers to consumers worldwide, from its manufacturing facilities in Brockway, Pennsylvania. Owens, Illinois, glass is life. And viewers like you, thank you.